I want to make sure that you understand that we're here so you can meet the new appointees at the Housing Authority. Let me call them forward, starting with Wasi Mohammed. Wasi is the Chief of Staff to Congresswoman Summer Lee. He brings deep expertise in federal housing policy and advocacy for tenant rights at the national level. Tammy Thompson, Executive Director of Copulate Greater Pittsburgh, who has spent 20 years empowering low-income families and bridging the gap between affordable housing and economic mobility. Charlize Smith, founder of WAVE, W-A-V-E, whose first-hand experience with housing insecurity and her work in tenant advocacy will help center the needs of residents in shaping future policies. Last but definitely not least, Jahala Rucker. She is a reappointed tenant organizer whose personal experience fighting for tenants' rights in Pittsburgh will ensure that the voices of renters remain strong in our policies. And Jayla will also be the person who will be taking us on this tour. She knows Manchester quite well. So in face of renewed threats to public housing from federal policies, cuts to funding, displacement, and attacks on tenant protections, strong local leadership is more important than ever. This new leadership team is committed to protecting public housing, expanding access, and ensuring HACP remains a pillar of stability and opportunity for Pittsburgh families. And helping to make that happen under this leadership is Mayor Ed Gainey. Sir?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm going to be brief because I want to get on this tour. First, I just want to thank the new board members. It's critical. People have heard me talk about this in the past, so you know how excited I am. I believe that we needed a board that was about people and not just property, and that was going to put the needs of the people first. I've been saying this since the beginning, that the more we focus on our people, the more quality of life we give to our city. And so to be here today and be able to introduce these distinct, wonderful, and caring people to the Housing Authority Board is something that I really appreciate, because I know they have the interest of the people at heart. And so I'm looking forward to this tour. I'm happy about them accepting their roles as new board members, and I'm proud to say that this is a good day in our most livable city.
All right, guys. So what we're going to do, the questions and answers will be at the end of the tour. We're going to be led by Ms. Jayla Rucker. Ms. Jayla, come on. Show us Manchester.
That's good.
All right.
You ready?
You guys ready?
Okay. I got a little walk.
So Jayla, what's this area?
So this is Manchester, Sheffield Street. We used to call this up top growing up.
Yeah. Why was it called up top?
Because down bottom is down where the field is, down closer to Manchester Elementary School. Okay. So it was like two different sets of guys. They called themselves up top, and then the other side was called down bottom. I don't know, but we always still got along because it was all love and we was still family. Right. But that just was something that was going on in the neighborhoods, you know, growing up. It was a thing for us. But here is where it really all started for me in Manchester. Right here, this big red brick building behind us. I moved here in 2008 with my family in a 3-bedroom, 3-story house. It's attached. It's on the back side here. And we was owned by Penrose Management at that time. And as years went on, the living conditions just got deplorable. And I started talking to my homegirls, my neighbors, and then one day we was just like, we tired. And we called one of my favorite people in this city, other than Ed, and that's Danny Lavelle, and Jake Wheatley. We gave them a call and just let them know what was going on here. And instead of them continue having conversations with us over the phone, they showed up in the neighborhood like he here today. And it went from there.
That name, Danny.
Danny, I love it. It's my guy, you know. And they showed up here in the community and start talking to residents. We start having meetings, and moving forward, they helped us start a steering committee and form a tenant council here in Manchester, so tenants can have rights and we can advocate for ourselves and fight against the slumlords that was managing our properties. And life started getting real good for me. Housing Authority, HACP, which now I'm reappointed to their board again. They came in and required their properties back, because this was a public property and then it turned private and then it went back to a public entity again, which is a good thing. And I lived right here. And after me living in Mold for 12 years, I finally was up on the top of the transfer list to move into my new unit where we just walked from with me and my family. And of course, I had some additional add-ons as life went on. I finally had a son after 5 girls, and he's amazing. He made me whole. But moving forward, that's where I got to today, where I became a very powerful tenant advocate. I fight for tenants' rights day in and day out. And I love doing it. It's a passion for me. It's never about the paycheck that I get. I could care less about it. As long as they living right and their families is thriving, that's what matters to me, because it makes you feel good inside. Make sure you got that dignity, you know. And you didn't. What's that word? The morals is down. You know, yes, they're down. You know, you're not happy. But again, like I said, I'm happy. I'm here. I got the rest of the new board appointees with me, and I'm going to keep moving so we can get through this neighborhood. This is some of the new things that's going on. They got some new AC units out here. There's 86 units here. They started off with 120. Some were sold. A lot of families entered to the home ownership program, which was a good thing. A lot of families don't have the stability to do that, but that's what we're working towards also. And this is just one of our 8 multifamily units here. When you build a foundation, your house becomes your home. And your neighbors are important. So people that you grow up with and you move on with them through the adventures of life, it becomes a part of being stable and stability, because stability means everything. When you're bouncing around, going to different neighborhoods, especially if you have a young black son, it's normally not safe for them to move out or be pushed out of their communities. So it's good to have a good foundation for your families to keep them safe. And I love my neighborhood. We had all kinds of free programs here. We got 3 schools here in Manchester. I know everybody. Why would I want to go somewhere? My kids are safe. Everybody know my kids. I'm on the bus line. The T is down the street. The Rivers Casino is down the street. It's all kind of good food around here, and they're good people too. Our neighborhood's clean. It's quiet most of the time. It's very dark at night, but I mean, that's another one of our signatures besides the brick sidewalks. So that's what makes it important to be able to stay here in Manchester and make sure we're able to still call this home. A lot of these are homeowners to the left and to the right. Some are renters, but for the majority part, back in the, I'd say, late 60s, I wasn't born at that time, but I did do a little research on my neighborhood, and Manchester was a community where, you know, black folks, there was redlining. So this was one of the only communities where they could really purchase homes. So a lot of people, they still live here, and they raised their families here. You know, some might have died off, and some are still around, but it's real homey here. So that's why I'm still here. My kids go to Manchester Mac Charter, and every last one of them, like I said, I got 5 girls and a son. My oldest daughter is 27 years old. She started at St. Joe's, which was a preschool, and she went on to Manchester Elementary through 8th grade, and down to my 6-year-old son. They've all went to the same schools, you know. So
as you're walking through, we're seeing all these different type of buildings. You're saying some of it is home ownership, some of it is rental?
Some of it's rental, some of it's home ownership. I'm going to say, for instance, these 2 nice homes right here, they were vacant for a long time, and the grass and the weeds probably was up to the top of the stop sign. And I partner with an organization called Ozanel. It's in the Hill District. If you don't know about that program, the executive director there is Darrell Porter, which is my older brother. And he lives here in Manchester as well. So I went to him and I'm complaining like, brother, of course, because I lived right there in that red brick building behind this property here. I'm like, something got to be done because the weeds, the overgrown weeds and bushes, there was a lot of rodents running around. So he gave me a team of his summer camp kids, and he bought us tools and materials, and we came out here and we cut all this grass down. It was as high as the stop sign. Me and all the kids, we whacked it down from the front all the way to the back and cleaned it up to make the neighborhood look good. And then some guys came in once they seen the potential of the property, and they purchased it, fixed it up, and moved two families in. Coming up here, you'll see a lot of these buildings to our left, these houses, they look the same. So those are all homeowners over there. And for the I'm gonna say all of them are black homeowners at that. And I know the most of them very well, except for Miss Mary. Miss Mary's my girl. She live here on the corner. Miss Mary take care of the community. She come out, she feed the kids, she give them drinks and candy and things like that. But moving forward, we're coming up on some more of the scattered sites. That's a part of the Housing Authority property. Down here, we'll get there soon. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4. There might be about 8 more scattered sites that we have that we're coming up on.
When you say scattered sites, what
so
scattered sites?
So the scattered site units are some mixed income units that range from Page Street all the way down to Nixon Street by the old Manchester Pool. And the good thing, I'm gonna say this is about a scattered site. You can't tell that it's public housing, because for the most part, there's a homeowner to your left and to your right. So it actually looks good. It fits well here in this community.
So why is that important?
I'm gonna say the reason why it's important to me is because I know back when I was younger, we lived up on Reed and Roberts, which was projects at the time. And you didn't have a gatekeep of your housing. You couldn't control what went on in front of your house or around your house because it was a isolated community, whereas though we were stacked on top of each other. Now here, these are single family built up homes, and it just makes me feel whole. So I have control over who can stand or litter or sit on my front steps. Whereas back up in where they call them projects up in Northview Heights, you can't control who's standing in your court or who's sitting on your front porch or who's loitering. You can't say stuff to everybody. But down here, it really makes sense and it matters. So.
Ms. Jayla, can you point out some of the mixed housing? Do you know which buildings are the mixed housing?
So they are down a little further towards the corner by the stop sign. These are all homeowners right here that we're walking past these two homes here. They're homeowners. The mixed housing kinds of come in down here, whereas those back in the late 90s, they were called walk-ups. This is where the walk-ups was at. And they were little 3-story little buildings with maybe like 9 units in them. And of course families were stacked on top of each other. So, it's good to live amongst your neighbors, but sometimes you don't want other families on top of you or underneath you because sometimes it causes conflict and confrontation if you got small kids, and sometimes they might be a little too loud. So the neighbor under you or over top of you might get upset and you get into a disagreement with one another. So here's some of the mixed housing units right here, which looks exactly like the unit that I live in over on Sheffield Street. So one of those are newly remodeled, and a family has been moved into their new unit right here, and they will be starting flipping the other units once some of the vacant units that's been offline for the last few years are fixed up, and those families are moving to their right-sized home, because you have to be right-sized. So here are some of them right here. These three here, they're all 3-bedroom units. Yeah, these are all 3. These are all 3-bedroom units. All 3 of these right here are 3-bedroom units. This one in the middle, where you can see the paint looks fresh and the window sills and everything look nice. This was one of the first units that was flipped. One of my favorite people used to live in built this house right here. God rest her soul. We called her Lita Bum. She did everybody's nails in the community. She was an artist. She had this gift that was in her that drawed everybody to her, because she was so loving and caring. So Lita Bum used to do everybody's nails. She lived right here, and she passed on in this house, and she was young. She might have been 47, but she passed on in this house here. And of course, the community came and shedded love and light on the family and supported them, because that's what we do here in Manchester. We support each other. And they left it offline, went in there, fixed it up, and moved another family into this house here. Of course, on every other block, you will see one of these books keepers. Look like a bird house. We put books in there for the kids to come and grab a book. The Storybook mobile truck comes around a lot in the community. It normally sits from time to time, and the kids can get on the bus and grab them a book as well. These are some of our other scattered sites here as well in front of us. A few of them are homeowners, but the last 4 down towards the end, they are renters, so they are part of the Hope 6, the 86 units. And moving along, we have our Bidwell high-rise over here to the left, which is a property where a lot of our seniors are housed, or individuals or families with a disability. Here's our low-rise building. We call it, it's called the Chatham. That's our low-rise there. That is fully under renovation. Everyone that lived in that unit was all moved out at one time, because there's 12 units in there. They had 12 available units for those families, which they were moved right here across the street. So the relocation process wasn't dysfunctional. You know, it was a good location for them to move just right across the street. Because as we know, when you relocate in families that have been living in a house for 10 to 20 years, you got a lot of buildup. You got a lot of memories that you don't want to let go. And sometimes you have to downsize. And you got to get rid of some things that's meaningful to you. So I think that worked out pretty well for our families. I haven't got any complaints from any of them yet. Normally, if there's an issue here with any of the families that live in the 86, they call me. Everybody calls me, not just them throughout the city. All of our tenants throughout the city and Allegheny County, more than likely, some way, somehow, as we know, word of mouth is powerful. And they share my name and my phone number, and of course they see me out here. I'm always in front of the cameras. I guess that's my new thing now. Ed loves to just throw me out there. Come on, Jayla, you up? I'm like, okay, all right, that's what we doing. Alex does it to me too. Alex is the executive director at PA United, where I co-lead the housing justice table, where we run a lot of the housing campaigns. To get those launched and fight for tenants' rights and, you know, policy and change here within the city. So, again, this is our mid-rise. That's what we call this, a mid-rise, because it's no more than 3 stories. So that's what you call a mid-rise. This here. It's under full renovation. I think it's coming along pretty well. It's a one-time move for everybody, so the families don't have to travel back and forth. Instead of us going to rank and return and moving everybody just off-site to come in and then flip them all at one time, I didn't think it was a good idea because, as we know, it happened in East Liberty, and families got pushed out, and we don't know where them families are to this day. And I didn't want that here in Manchester for my families. I wanted us to all stay together because that's all I've known since I was 12 years old is the families here in Manchester. I can go to anybody's house and knock on their door and get whatever I need if I needed something. If I needed a safety net until my mom got home, I might have lost my key and got locked out. I can go knock on any door and they let me in and let me use their phone to call my mom because, back then you didn't have a cell phone. So that's pretty much what goes on here in Manchester. I love it here. I'll never leave. They're going to bury me here. I told my kids when I die to bury me in the backyard, and I really meant that. Of course, again, there may be some families out. I see the Housing Authority maintenance guys moving around over there. I think today's the food bank day. We have a food bank. 412 Rescue comes and they drop food in our community on a monthly basis. Twice a month, they come and do a food drop for us. So that's a good thing. Also, the Giant Eagle Mobile Market pulls up every weekend, so we have access to produce, fresh vegetables, and food, and some folks don't have to get a ride to get down to the Giant Eagle on Cedar Avenue and get their food right here in our community. So that's another good thing about Manchester. We're not a food desert. That's pretty much it here. These are also some Housing Authority units here across the street. I think this is where me and Ed did we did a commercial a couple months back, and we started right there, and then we ended up over here on this corner, and we did our little walk and talk then as well. But that's it.
All right. So I know I introduced, but you didn't hear from them. So I would like the new appointee, they have to wait until they have the interviews with City Council on March 18th. With the final vote from City Council on the 25th. And after that, they will make their plans. So I would like for the members, the appointed members to speak, starting with Wasi.
Honored to be considered. I'm excited to meet with City Council on this, and I think in this moment more than ever, I think we realize how much we all have to come together and ensure that our housing crisis is dealt with and that we're taking it seriously with the urgency that we're looking for. The Congresswoman and I in D.C., fight for housing policy, fight for increased resources, and seeing at a time where the Trump administration's decimating HUD and a lot of resources are going to be gone. The people that serve us are not going to be there anymore. We're trying to fight back against that, and at that time we have to come together locally more than ever. And honored to stand with the people here today. Everybody else is more of an expert than I am. I spent 10 years in this, but not as much as they have. So excited to work with everyone, committed to really making sure that we make some real change here, and we treat this, honor with the level of enthusiasm that we really should. We understand how big of a responsibility this is, and we're going to keep going until we can make some serious change for our neighbors here in Pittsburgh. So thank you. Yeah.
All right, Ms. Tammy.
Hi. So I'm back. I am a returning appointee to this administration. The only thing that's important to me is making sure that the residents of the city of Pittsburgh who depend on quality, affordable housing get that. That's my primary focus, and I believe that starts with changes in leadership. I am here because I want to have a hand in making sure that this agency has strong leadership that has people at its focus. And I am thankful that Mayor Gainey feels the same. He mentioned that focusing on the people over property is key. And in my time on this board of directors, I will make sure that is a primary focus. Thank you.
And I'm Charlie Smith. I'm the Executive Director of WAVE. I'm super excited to been appointed to the Housing Authority of City of Pittsburgh Board. I am a very strong advocate in the community in reference to low to moderate income communities as well as tax credit communities. And we are here to serve to make sure that we are advocates for the family and support the agenda of our mayor. So we look forward to supporting the families and hope to see you soon. We're looking for a huge change this term. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Jayla?
I'm the co-lead of the Housing Justice Table of PA United. I am a reappointment to the Housing Authority City of Pittsburgh as a vice chair. And my mission has always been the same, like I said before, throughout our work. I do my due diligence for the residents of the city and throughout Allegheny County as a whole. Of course, just like Ms. Tammy said, the main important focus is leadership, because if you got somebody that can lead, you'll have people that follow behind you, you know, and that's a good trickle-down effect, because I want all of our families to thrive. And so far, since I was previously on the board, I'm still there, haven't went anywhere. I have been doing hand-in-hand assistance with the tenants of the Housing Authority and working very close with them to make sure that families' needs and concerns are being met on a daily basis. Because again, like I said, everyone comes to me with their issues, and I make sure that we resolve them in a timely fashion and what's comfortable for our families. So again, I want to welcome on all our 3 new appointees to the board, and we're going to have a good time together, and we're going to do some great things and bring change to the City of Pittsburgh for the Housing Authority.
That's right.
All right. We're going to bring forth Mayor Ed Gainey.
I just want to thank the new board members. Like I said earlier, it's different when you get people on your board that care and really want to see the growth of people. Of course, we always care about the properties and how the properties look like when people live in them. We want to make sure we continue to maintain it. But it's different when you have a heart for people, where you want to see the growth of people, where you want to see people be able to live comfortably in their spot, in their property. So again, I'm just excited about the day. I'm thankful, and I appreciate them for joining the board.
All right, we'll take questions for the new board members.
Come on, board members. Come on, board members. Come on.
Can you spell your name?
What?
You gotta spell your name.
Oh, EDGAINEY. Any questions?
How specifically can city officials and the Housing Authority push back on the Trump administration's cuts to HUD and other initiatives that would potentially jeopardize affordable housing?
Well, I think one is about alignment and relationship, and that's why I'm glad we have Wazzy that's going to join the board, so that we have a better understanding of what's coming out of D.C. before they actually happen. I believe that if we could be more proactive in understanding the cuts that they want to see, we can actively, from a local position, be able to plan accordingly. So again, it's about teamwork throughout the county, the city, the county, and the feds. So again, we don't know what cuts he's going to look to take, but I'm comfortable with someone on the board that will have an idea of exactly what's going to happen before it occurs.
Tammy, you've spoken previously pretty strongly about wanting to see change on the Housing Authority board and in the Housing Authority in general. Can you be more specific about that? What is it that you're hoping to see change?
Well, quite frankly, I'm hoping to see a change in leadership. I do not believe that all the goodwill that you're seeing today, I don't believe it can be expanded without proper leadership. Good leadership trickles down into staff. Good leadership from staff exudes to the community. Without sound leadership, none of this will matter. So I am committed to doing my part to make sure that this agency moves forward primarily with good leadership.
With Pittsburgh's population declining, what's the plan?
You know, I think we've had a lot of gentrification in our neighborhoods. I spoke about that, and that's why, again, I'm glad to have these 4 on board. We have to invest heavily in affordable housing. You know, that's what we've been doing. Secondly, we got to keep ourselves open to immigration. I think when you see the spike in the county and you look at the immigration population that they had, we also need that in the city. We have to keep our doors open to let people know you're welcome here. For from the beginning, I've been preaching that. We welcome immigrants. immigrants and refugees to our city. We want to see our city expand, and whenever our cities expand, it's because we've had an increase of immigration, of immigrants. So we're looking forward to continuing to make sure that we, one, stop the gentrification of our neighborhoods by building more affordable housing, and second, always welcome immigrants into the city.
Mayor, do you support a change in leadership at the Housing Authority?
Well, I'm not here to talk about that right now, Rick. Good question. But let me say this.
Tammy mentioned it.
I know Tammy mentioned it, Rick. I know. Let me finish. What I'm gonna say is that we'll talk about that at a later date.
Because you could change it, right?
We'll talk about that at a later date.
What specific actions would you, as new board members, or Mayor Gainey, would you like to see the new board members make in terms of the change that you guys can make with the authorities you have on the board?
And we have one of the new
Yes,
board members.
sure. I've been in the affordable housing industry since 2002, and my first agenda is to correct the systems and strategies that are within the City of Pittsburgh Housing Authority. I believe that once those systems and strategies are fixed, because right now they are absolutely fractured, our organization gets hundreds of calls per month in reference to lack of Section 8 vouchers being pushed through, individuals on wait lists for years and years and years, but yet we have a huge number of vacancies. So I believe systems and strategies should be fixed first.
Agreed.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Hearing none, I would like to.
I can expand on the federal piece a little bit. If that's
Okay. Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah. Our experience so far working with the Trump administration has been, they don't even understand what they're cutting. They don't get it. They're just kind of chopping whole departments, half of this, half of that. And what it's up to, it's important then working with the Gainey administration, making sure that they actually understand when you remove somebody from this position, one of our seniors is going to have bed bugs and rodents and all of this, and we have to deal with that. We actually know that at a local level. They don't understand what that actually means. We're going to lift that up to them. We're going to make sure before they make any decision to take resources away from our region that with the mayor, with the county executive, we're all going to stand up and say what that's actually going to do. And in certain cases, they reverse their decisions. So we're going to keep fighting. They don't know what they're cutting. They're rehiring people they just fired. They clearly, it's all chaos. So what we need to do is to make sure they understand who is going to be harmed here. Seniors, those with disabilities, folks in our community, neighbors that deserve safe, clean, affordable housing. And if they take that away from it, they can't say they didn't know what they were doing like they did in all these other departments. So it's going to be important that we, as a local community, lift up and say what this is going to cost folks. At the end of the day, they're cutting so much that even our neighbors who are not following the news as closely as everybody here, they don't understand how people are going to be hurt or harmed. So another role, I think our new leadership here is going to actually make sure that we lift that up as well, and everybody understands the harm that's going to be faced. So that's another thing we're going to be as a goal for us as well, and to deal with this environment is to make sure that we're doing that as much as we can. Yeah.
Wazzie, do you think there might be a conflict of interest with you on the board if you're working for a person who approves funding for the board?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think because we're not directly approving, I think a lot, if there's ever a situation in which there's a conflict, pretty easy to take a step back. I'm always fine. We got better people on the board, like I said, than me, so I'm always happy to do that. I'm excited for the ways that we can collaborate. I think partnerships is going to be a major word for us with other levels of government, with folks down in D.C., with folks around the country. We can bring in a lot of folks to kind of help us here in Pittsburgh. So, anytime there's a conflict, easy to step back. But more importantly, whenever I have an opportunity to enhance the work that we're doing here by bringing in kind of national resources or figuring out ways that other people in other cities and other regions are partnering, we're gonna do that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I just want to add one thing because I think it's really, really important. As media, as politicians, as folks who focus on statistics and numbers and reports, we have to remember there are people at the end of these numbers and at the end of these reports. There are people who are just looking for a quality of life for themselves and their children that we believe is a human right for everybody. So we can argue about whether or not it's a human right, but the reality is there are people who, at the end of the day, no matter what we agree on as politicians or media or people with opinions, the reality is people are suffering in our public housing. Correct. People are suffering, and people will continue to suffer even more if these cuts come through, right? So we need to be proactive as an administration, as a housing authority agency, and think about what exactly are the issues that can be addressed now, and how can we be proactive about protecting people if these cuts actually come. So I just don't want people to forget these are real human beings that we are talking about every day.
That's right.
Thank you.
Pittsburgh home.
That's right.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.